Raised in El Paso, Texas. She received a BA in Communications Studies with a minor in Women's Studies at the University of Texas, El Paso, and a Master's in Education and Organizational Leadership at the University of New Mexico. Cristina has experience in public speaking, community engagement, organizing and educational programming, having ongoing for over 9 years. She has served in leadership and activist roles in diverse communities, where she utilized her experience as an LGBTQ diversity trainer and storyteller as a means of activism in El Paso, as well as in New Mexico. She was a lead panelist for UTEP's Rainbow Minor Initiative for 3 years and delivered her story over 100 times at UTEP and in the El Paso community. While in New Mexico, she trained UNM's resident life public schools counselors about the importance of LGBT inclusion, support, and safe spaces. And we thank Cristina for being here to share her expertise today.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm honored to be in the panel in front of such distinguished panelists and in front of mi familia. So anyway, I wanted to take this time first to reflect a bit on how unfortunate this timing may be that Dr. Maya Angelou just passed away, but how this event can also be utilized, especially as we're sharing our stories, to remember her. In that Dr. Maya Angelou was not only an activist, a writer, but a storyteller as well. And she utilized her vision to see a world that is more equitable, a world that is more passionate, compassionate, and loving. And I think that's exactly what we're doing here today for our community and in our communities. But I really want to kind of touch on storytelling. I started to get really passionate about storytelling when I was in high school. My mentor was my high school speech and debate coach. And what I admired most about him was not only how great of an educator he was, but how lively and theatrical he told his stories. And what he really taught me was that, you know, a lot of what makes us who we are today are our experiences. And when I think about my coming out process, I think a lot about him. Because he was there when I came out to my parents, and he was there when I was outed unwillingly in high school and when I was teased about it. And you know, thinking back when I was 16 and outed without my consent, it still brings heartbreak to me because I think of how that barrier was stripped, like I said, without my consent, and how hard it was. And I also reflect back and I think about how privileged and fortunate I was that I had friends there to support me and that I had my mentor there to support me. And that was not only the thing that I through that process, but it was also in knowing that, you know, I distinctly remember at 17 telling myself, all right, Cristina, you are who you are. You know, live up to it and be proud and love yourself. And so when I was 17, a couple of people from my high school came up to me and asked me just outright. This was, you know, back in 2003, and I think in El Paso, Texas, where I think I knew one other gay person. And so someone asked me, hey, I heard you're gay, as if it was a bad word. And I was like, is that true? And I said, yes. And I went along with my life. A few years later, I was at the University of Texas at El Paso as an undergrad. And I was part of a program called the Rainbow Minor Initiative. And out of that stemmed Speak Out. And Speak Out is much like this panel here, where we go around to different classrooms at UTEP and faculty and staff meetings, and even throughout the community to give our coming out stories as being LGBTQI/A. And what I learned from that is that stories have such a wonderful way, an amazing way to connect us all, and to promote knowledge and compassion and understanding amongst each other. At the same time, I was also part of an organization that would help open up gay-straight alliances in high schools in El Paso. There I started, my interest started peaking in the safety and the unique challenges and perspectives that K-12 high school students have as coming out or as trying to negotiate themselves as being lesbian or gay or transgender within the system. So after I graduated, my lovely wife, who's in the audience, we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, program where I focus much of my research on the climate of safety for K-12 students, specifically LGBT students, and the effectiveness of gay-straight alliances. So shout out to Bliss, and I'm so happy you're here. I utilize so much of your research to incorporate into my own. And you know, what I realized there is that through gay-straight alliances, what I realized that came out of my research is that yes, they do provide safer spaces, and that if your child does have a gay-straight alliance or some type of inclusion program in your school, I highly recommend them to be part of that. But gay-straight alliances need not work alone. They also need to work in conjunction with policies and supportive administrators and staff and educators to provide support for their students as well as their families. And so as I culminate back to families, I want to go back to when I started opening up the Gay-Straight Alliance. One of the high schools, we were met with a lot of challenges. And we would not have been able to get surpass those challenges had it not been for 2 to 3 very supportive and very outspoken parents. So my message to any parents or caretakers in the audience is that your voice is so powerful and it is gold. To the students as well, your voice is powerful as well also. And even if you can't find that courage to bring that voice out, there's someone in your community, or there are those online resources through Listen or PFLAG that can help you bring that voice out to promote effective change. The last thing I wanted to leave off with is a story, and it's of my mother. My parents, it took a while for them to come around. I shouldn't say that long. But they're wonderful and they're supportive and they're great allies, and my mother has been such an advocate. But anyway, my mom at some points would call me every time something was gay on in television. Anything gay. At one point, she had called me and said and told me, I think she was watching some show about parents or children coming out to parents, and she said this to me. She said, "Mija, I don't understand." A parent said to a child, "I accept my child," and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to undermine acceptance or anything, because I think that's part of a process. But what she said to me just really stuck out, and it's stuck out to me today. You know, it being almost 8 years later, is that I support you, and I love you for who you are. I don't accept Rafi, my brother's heterosexuality, and I don't accept you being gay. I support that, and I support your life, and I love you. And so, you know, as we think about that, and as we think about acceptance and tolerance, I hope that we can move on to support and celebration of diversity. And I think that's exactly what we're doing here today. Thank you.